Let's get excited about love when this happens. We're going to dive into this conversation today. Whether you're a man or woman, every human wants love, and yet they're confused, scared, and even broken, just like I was. And quite frankly, it took me almost 20 years of what feels like beating my head up against a wall to be in a space where I'm actually now in what I believe is the healthiest, secure relationship ever in my life. Now, I'm sharing my personal experiences because if I can do it, I swear to God, you can too. Now, let me tell you, after my divorce 20 years ago, I was a train wreck. Like many people, I had uh, grew up with the American dream. I was raised with that blueprint of go to college, get a job, meet someone, get married, buy a house, start a family. And I followed that to a T. If you're a tail end baby boomer or even a Gen Xer, you probably had the same blueprint as I did. And like I said, I followed to a T. And yet, quite frankly, I was naive, I was uncertain, and in truth, I wasn't the best husband. I focused on that your job is to be the provider protector. And I really didn't have the emotional skills or even the wherewithal because I was so hyper focused on making money that I didn't know how to be a husband. And quite frankly, I didn't even know how to be a good father. And like what many people do, they end their relationship, or at least the relationship was ended on by me. And quite frankly, she deserved it. I wasn't a good husband. And I found myself back in the dating marketplace right when the internet came out. And boy, was it a smorgasbord. I thought you could just simply plug in exactly what you want and somebody would magically appear. And sure enough, someone did magically appear. And I went on a really great first date, but something wasn't right. A few weeks later, another first date, and something wasn't right. And a few weeks later, another first date, and something wasn't right. And quite frankly, in the course of 1 year, and I'm embarrassed to say this, I had over 100 first dates. Now, you might be looking at me like, that's insane. Well, the truth was, I was a broken man. In fact, one of the reasons why I help women understand men is I understand the emotional trauma that men go through after divorce. Now, most men are good guys, they're just bad daters, but worse, many men are broken, just like I was. And during that space, I wanted someone in my life, I wanted a connection, but I was rather broken. And I know many of you ladies are watching this, or even the men watching this, going, God, it just seems like it's so dysfunctional in the dating marketplace that everybody is broken on some emotional level. And to some degree, there's truth to that. It's one of the reasons why therapy is on the rise, personal development, self-help, spiritual work is on such a rise because we humans recognize that to really experience deep, secure love, it requires developing our emotional muscle. You see, sadly, many people in the dating marketplace have weak emotional maturity and worse, poor relationship skills, and particularly poor communication skills. That's right. Now, I know you're watching this going, yeah, it's everybody else, everybody else, everybody else. I swear to God, I'm looking in the camera right now. You are part of that as well. I know you might be in denial of that. The problem is we humans have a propensity of pointing the finger at others without looking at those three fingers pointing back at us, going, maybe I'm not as secure and healthy as I think I am. And I know this because, as I said, it took me 20 years to get to this space. In fact, during that 20 years, I had two significant relationships, really great relationships to some degree, but I was broken in those relationships, or maybe I chose the wrong person in one, but thankfully, they weren't toxic. They weren't trauma-based. I know many of you have experienced that, and I know it sucks. I know it sucks to choose a person, but I'll be candid with you. Most likely you made that choice because you followed the design that we baby boomers and Gen Xers were told to follow. And the design is simple: attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection is the pathway to relationship success. That's right. Attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection. And if that's all we have, then of course our relationship will magically work out because magic fairy dust always works out. And in a moment, I'm just going to share with you 5 key things to give you a clue about whether or not you should be excited about the love with the next person you go out on a date with. Now, I know this because one of the things I help as a coach, and that's right, I'm a coach. By the way, there's a link right here to schedule a discovery call with me in the show notes, see if working with a coach is right for you. See, my whole area of expertise is centered around discernment. You see, discernment, and this isn't about coaching right now. I just want you to focus for a second. The reality is we're meeting a vast array of strangers these days. You see, we no longer live in an environment where we're surrounded by people whom we know, or meet someone new that we know that they know someone. So we're not connected the way we used to be. This requires discernment. This requires vetting. See, when you're following the model of attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection, it's all about, let's just focus on the fun. Let's just have fun. And guess what? Fun is great. That's why I had 100 first internet dates. Fun is great. But if we're not really paying attention to compatibility, and more importantly, and let me just share this for the women who are watching this. As a coach, I primarily work with women, but I have men clients as well. I've noticed something within women. They come to me all the time. Jonathan, I know what I want. I know what I want. I know what I want in a relationship. And what's interesting is they go through this proprietary coaching program I create. And can you guess what they say every single time after doing some introspective work? They almost say the same thing. Why didn't they teach me this in school? Why didn't my parents teach me this? Why didn't I learn this before I met the wrong guy? See, if we're following the attraction, entertainment, romance, and physical connection, we're not clued into the most important piece about love, and that is compatibility. In fact, let me just share with you a chart, and please forgive the glare. This is called my relationship iceberg. You can see above the waterline, attraction is chemistry, but below the waterline is shared values, blendable lifestyles, and more importantly, that emotional maturity. That's where compatibility exists. And by the way, shared vision as well. Do you really want the same things? By the way, my whole coaching is centered around life partnership-based relationships. By the way, if you want a life partnership-based relationship, say it out loud. Write the word, I want a life partnership-based relationship. Why is that so different? See, today's dating, oftentimes people find themselves in casual relationships, situationships, friends with benefits, or just simply hooking up in casual or part-time relationships, have no destination. They're great for entertainment purpose. They're great for the fun, but you're not building the deep roots of trust. And for those of us in midlife, let me be just candid with you. I'm 60, okay? When you're over 60, the days in front of you are shorter than the days behind you. I want someone who's going to go with me to the colonoscopy appointment. I want someone who's going to help me around if my back is out. And by the way, I'm also there for my partner as well. God forbid those things happen for her. At our age, these are critically important things. So this title is about getting excited about love when this happens. And I just want to share with you 5 clues to give you some perspective to see if a person is really ready and excited for love. I found love, and like I said, you can too. So the first thing, and I'm going to be reading from my notes for a second, people get excited about love when they feel safe to be their true selves. You know what's amazing about the relationship I'm in right now? I am absolutely my unvarnished true self. Do you know it's nice to just be able to say what's on your mind, even if it's fear, even if it's insecurity, even if it's doubt, even if you're questioning things? You know what it's like when you can be in that space of being your authentic self? My God, you just get to relax. You just get to relax when you're with that person that gets you, that accepts you for who you are. That's what we all want. That's what love is about, is acceptance. Now, again, this video isn't about how to get there. This is to determine if you're there. Folks, if you're currently in a relationship, whether it's 3 months or older, and if you don't feel safe to be your true self, then chances are this isn't going to turn into some sort of love. I know you all wish that magic fairy dust will fall from the ceiling and somehow change this person. If you stick it out, if you double down just a little bit more, that person will change. But if you don't feel like you can be your true self within the first 90 days, it's very rare that's going to turn into something other than maybe a transactional relationship. But I'm here to just talking about juicy, delicious, healthy, happy love. The kind of love where you just can't wait to send text messages to one another, where you're actually sending Instagram reels over and over again to each other because you're excited to be with this person. That's what this is about, is to be excited about love. And let me just say this, as I said it earlier, if I can do it and I'm here, you can get there too. I was that broken guy who was a train wreck. Now I'm going to be candid. I did a lot of personal development, self-help, spiritual work. I did the Hoffman process. If you're not familiar with that, here's the copy of the book. I highly recommend reading this. All the books I recommend are listed below. The Hoffman process. This is a deep dive into healing your childhood wounds and traumas that oftentimes block our capacity to love one another. Do you know the average person suffers from being able to not receive love from another person? Or worse, they struggle giving love. I know so many people have been a place where they poke holes in relationships, and because they're poking holes, because they're doubting, because they feel like there's a maybe, they struggle actually giving love because something is holding them back. And so we either have those that have difficulty receiving love or those have difficulty giving love. And when you're excited, when you truly feel like you can be yourself, where you feel safe, that's the first sign that you're going to get excited about this relationship. And like I said, it should happen within the first 3 months. And let me tell you why 3 months. But you're going, but Jonathan, I'm in a long distance relationship and we only talk on the phone 400,000 times a day. And we only get to see each other once every 6 weeks. Folks, let me tell you, genuine, heartfelt love doesn't happen over the telephone. That oftentimes demonstrates artificial intimacy. Deep love happens through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in your personal and professional life. You should be able to talk about your past with one another, where you're at in your relationship, and where this relationship is going. If you're afraid to be your true self, to even ask the questions where this relationship is going, chances are this isn't going to turn into love. Number 2, you have a deep friendship. First bonds making love. The first bond makes love thrilling. A deep friendship, that bond of friendship. When a man or woman shows up as a teammate, curious, playful, supportive, it sparks excitement beyond chemistry. When you develop true friendship, you should be able to be, let me tell you, if in the first 90 days, you can't wake up on a Sunday morning with a cup of coffee and talk 10 hours straight on the couch, if you don't have enough to talk about in excitement and curiosity about going down rabbit holes, I guarantee you probably aren't that great of friends. If you can't sit for 10 straight hours. Now, I know some people are going, oh my God, you're crazy, Jonathan. But let me tell you something. You ask any couple who's been married 30, 40, 50 years, and they are happily married, they all say the same thing. I am married to my best friend, the person I can talk about anything with. Deep friendship is what gets us excited about love when we have deep friendship. Now, many of you have surface level friendships. You have conversations like this. How's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day. Tell me about your day. I want to hear about your day. Folks, do you realize that most people in relationship have surface conversations? They never talk about what's going on inside of them emotionally. Now, a lot of women are afraid to talk about that. They're afraid that if they ask deeper emotional questions, it's going to scare someone. If you've asked those uncomfortable questions early in the dating process, by the way, beware of anyone who says to you, I don't want to talk about my past. I don't want to hear about your past relationships. Be careful of those people. If they're avoiding their past, how can you get to know who they are? By the way, I shared with you I'm 60 years old and I'm deeply, happily in love. Do you realize? And by the way, my partner is also, we're only 6 months apart in age. By the way, do you realize she had a life well before me? I know if you start from today, somebody had a life. It's like trying to build a relationship. You grab a book. Here, it's like grabbing this book and going, let me just go to the last couple chapters to read how this book is. Our whole life is the first 30, 40, 50 years. If someone's afraid to talk about that, then you're not going to build a deep friendship with them, most likely. Now, if someone is deeply wounded and they won't talk about their past, then you have to ask yourself, is this person even capable of leaning into a healthy, secure relationship going forward from a place of friendship? Number 3, calm, steady love beats chaotic passion love every single time. Calm, steady love beats chaotic love. I know many of you are like, I want to have the butterflies, I want to have the excitement, but calm, steady love beats passion every time. Men and women lean in when relationship feels grounded, yet alive, not dramatic or anxiety driven. You know, I look back now in some of my previous relationship, I put women up on a pedestal. I was in constant anxiety. I was in constant performance. In other words, I kept having to prove myself. You know what's beautiful about the relationship I am? I don't have to prove myself with this person. She is actually just showing up based on who I am, and she actually likes my peculiarities. It shocks me sometimes. Okay, number 4. Respect and appreciation fuel a person's heart. Respect and appreciation fuel a person's heart. When a man or woman feels valued for who they are and what they bring to the table, they feel inspired to invest deeply in relationship. When respect and appreciation is present, you should be able to be in relationship with someone, and this is what gets us excited when you go, I appreciate this person. In fact, everybody write this down. If you're not every single day sharing with your partner appreciation, giving them attention, giving them affection, and certainly acceptance, but appreciation, attention, affection, that's the multivitamin that we have to, or I'm inviting everyone to ingest every single day to have the kind of relationship that it fuels excitement about love. Because when these things happen, and I'm going to share number 5 in a second, when these things happen, you find yourself giddy like I am. By the way, I am giddy like Tom Cruise was on the interview with Oprah when he was talking about Katie Holmes some decade and a half ago. That's how I feel right now. And this isn't lust. This isn't limerence. This is actual being with someone that I feel calm, that I respect, that I appreciate, that we have a deep friendship, and I can be my true self. And lastly, number 5, and this is so important, is choosing someone that shares growth and purpose instead of romance. You share growth and purpose instead of romance. When a couple builds something from a place of growth and purpose, for those of us in midlife, the hardest, by the way, for those of us who are younger, we oftentimes operate from a place of we're supposed to make babies and that sort of thing. But at midlife, it's hard to determine what's the purpose outside of making babies and raising a family. So I'm here to invite everyone going forward to have a plan to really determine what's the purpose of us being in a relationship and focus on growth. And what does growth look like? It's how we're going to build a life together, to actually have those conversations, to building a life together. Because if you're not having those conversations early on, you might have a transactional relationship, but it's probably not going to lean into something serious from a place of love. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, hey, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Get the books I recommend. Follow me on social media. And don't forget to get my dating vows as well.